Guys, cheers to being back.
Cheers to being back. Yeah, it has been so many weeks since we recorded because of the big bad virus.
I really miss this a lot. I got really comfortable with just like spending Tuesdays and Thursdays with you guys. And you kind of take things for granted.
Yeah.
But
yeah, for sure.
It's a really relaxing and fun and kind of thought-provoking way to spend 2 days out of the week, and you sort of get into a routine and you enjoy that routine. It's thrown off and it can, kind of bring you down. But I'm glad you guys are safe. Like that too, because not to get into it, but I wasn't really affected at all. I was just kind of paying attention to what's going on in your guys' lives.
Yeah.
So, I'm happy to be here with you guys.
Yeah.
Glad you're safe.
Yeah, everything ended up fine, right? Like, your parents ended up okay, and you're okay.
Yeah.
And I'm fine. Like, everyone I know is fine.
And I think it's important before we, start this episode to just say that there are people out there who did not have as favorable of a situation with COVID, and maybe they lost people that are close to them in their lives.
Yeah.
Maybe they themselves lost their life or are forever affected by it. There are a lot of people who have permanent damage from it.
Yep. Some people still can't smell or taste.
Yeah.
It's been since March.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
The last place I worked at, I came into work in the morning, and my manager said, "Phil, I have some bad news." I was like, "Okay, what happened?" He's like, "Oh, I think it was his manager, or actually his manager's boss. I don't remember. It was someone really far up my food chain in the work industry." He said, "So-and-so just passed away from COVID. They just got the virus, and they died, and now we have to find a new boss." I was like, okay, interesting. So I didn't really know that guy, but that guy had kids. That guy also worked in the organization that I worked in.
Mm-hmm.
That, in a way, permanently affected, things.
Yeah.
It just makes sense.
We've had people that order our products at work pass away.
Yeah.
Typically, COVID can be very severe when it comes to the elderly, the older of age, the less physically in shape. And that's no knock, at all on anyone that is in that category. It's just, hey, be safe kind of thing, because you should be taking this seriously. And everyone should really be taking it seriously. But I actually wanted to ask you guys, what's the sit rep on this whole pandemic? How do you guys feel about it so far? What are your takeaways?
I'll let James go first then.
I think it's a good thing generally that we have a vaccine out. People are getting vaccinated for COVID. But it's worrisome that we have this UK variant and the South African variant that the vaccine doesn't protect against. It's potentially more deadly, more easily spread. So, I don't know, I think that although it's been a year, at least a year, since we've been dealing with this pandemic, I doubt it's really going to end here, It's not going to end with everybody getting vaccines for COVID-19 because there's 2 new variants. And the UK variant, I don't know if you guys know this, it's actually local to us right now. It's pretty
Interesting.
Close to us. I won't give any specific county away, but yeah. So,
really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, people are really betting on 2021 being something different, but I think there were a lot of conspiracy theory videos in which I saw people saying, "Oh, the virus will be gone by November of 2020. Just you watch. It's going to be weird. It's going to pop up and then vanish like nobody even knew. How did it just stop People just stopped getting it. People just stopped getting it. That's what the conspiracy was. But you look at it now, you look at what James is saying, and then you look at the facts, and then you look at how a lot of people aren't doing their part to help with precautionary measures.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And so I have two things to say on this, but let me just finish my main point. Is it seems like this could just go on for years. Like maybe 3 years, maybe 4 years, maybe 5 years. I don't know. I'd hope not, but maybe. But it's also funny that so here's my second point. Some people say to me, and yes, I actually heard this from one of my friends, and if they're listening, they know who they are, and I'm not like calling them out. I'm just, because I'm not mentioning their name. But it was funny to me what he said, because I love this person, I respect this person so much, one of my great friends. But he said, isn't it funny how people aren't really getting the cold anymore, or the flu and stuff like that? And James has a thought on that. And my point was to him, well, people are really trying to not spread sickness right now, so that's why. Right, James?
Well, that is part of it, but people are also still getting it. I had the flu.
Yeah.
I didn't have COVID. I had the flu at one point. That we thought was COVID, and then it wasn't COVID.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, the flu is still out there. It doesn't, just because people are getting COVID doesn't mean that they can't get the flu.
Exactly. Right.
But also, you're right. People are being more cautious generally. Washing their hands more, wearing masks. I mean, wearing a mask is going to prevent a virus like the flu, just in general. It prevents COVID. It prevents the flu.
Yeah.
The cold. You're not spreading germs, coughing on everyone. It's going into your mask.
Right. People are more germ sensitive.
Can I say one thing on masks?
Mm-hmm.
Because I know this is very controversial. And again, I know people who are anti-mask. And I think...
I'm just going to create a safe space right now. And this will be for our listeners also. I think it's important to just like talk about this.
Yeah, right. I just am explaining my point of view. So my point of view might not be everyone else's. That should be implied anytime you're listening to our stuff. It is opinions. It is our opinion, right? Like, I'm just...
Unless we present actual facts from...
True, which we have done.
Factual base.
Right.
Which we try to do.
Yeah, there's always a resource section at the bottom.
I think we at least try to hug that. We do get in a like philosophical, subjective, point of view based talk often.
What do you think, James? What do you think, Derek?
Right? And that's what I'm asking right now.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because I think we live in an opinion-based dominant world. As much as science is respected and acknowledged,
most of the way culture is shaped is because
especially on social media.
Opinions, yeah.
Especially on social media.
Exactly.
So we've kind of been fixated on opinions for I don't even know how long, but definitely when it comes to that. And sometimes I'm like reading my Twitter feed, I'm just going to get this out of here and then you can go back to COVID.
Continue.
Like I'm reading my Twitter feed and like there are genuinely funny things on Twitter.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm there for. And then like I just see like a lot of opinion based shit. And I sit there and I'm like, okay, maybe you have a deeper opinion than what I'm seeing because Twitter limits you to so many characters before you just can't tweet anymore. Okay. And you can like...
You can't do a 2-page Facebook post.
You can supplement it. You can supplement it with
tweets.
Adding tweets now.
Yeah.
You can add it.
Right.
But that's not generally how Twitter is used at all. It's flash opinion. It's like, here's my opinion. Blah.
It's your instant thought.
And it's just thousands of people doing that. And like
you take the current thought, you summarize it in a sentence or two, and then you just launch it.
I could go on a deeper tangent here, or I could wait.
Let me just say one thing, and then I'll let you continue.
Okay. Let's get back to the controversy.
Back to masks.
Okay.
I'm just gonna say one thing. Look at facts. The lighter test. It sounds like bullshit, but it makes sense. Get a match or a lighter. Light it in front of your mouth, put your mask on. If you can blow out the flame, your mask is not effective enough. If you can't blow out the flame, your mask is effective enough. Okay? Just gonna say it, a bandana is not enough. continue with what you were saying.
That
about
was
Twitter.
controversial.
But I.
You could double up the bandana, and then
Fair.
probably wouldn't pass the.
Here's
Fair.
my thing.
Lighter thing.
How is that controversial? How is it that if you put a bandana around your freaking face,
Yeah. Okay.
I don't swear as much, you'll be able to blow out that match or lighter any given point. It doesn't cover the flame.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless you maybe somehow fold it enough times to where it's not. But even still, you have space underneath where your breath is definitely getting out. You put the lighter down here, it's going to be blown out.
My mom's
Put a match
masks.
down there, it's going to be blown out.
My mom's masks are my favorite because she gets a mask, like an actual mask.
Uh-huh.
Then she would do a fabric covering that she would sew around it, so you have a design. So you not only have 2 layers of fabric, because one inside and out, but you also then have the mask. So it's like, if I just straight up cough my lungs out, that stuff is mostly getting caught in my mask. Now, I know some of it's probably going up and out because it's not sealed, and some of it's probably going down because it's not an N95. But
You're not breathing directly on things.
No,
You're
but
kind of like
60 or 80 or 90%, I don't know, that stuff is caught in the mask.
it's just so weird how we, like, when you focus on the pandemic, you have to basically live in a microscopic perspective. Like, you have to sort of imagine what it's like to be tiny to the point where you can't even see it, and how those things operate and go about their, like, life.
Like the virus.
Compared to
You saying the virus?
yes, because
Yeah.
they live in their own micro environment. Like,
Yeah.
there are multiple things in that environment. It's a lot like standing on an island in Earth. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff, like, in general. You know? You got
Well,
trees, you got sand, maybe you have animals, maybe you have plants.
I'm laughing because it's actually just so true. You just stick yourself on an island and you just have like palm trees, some ferns, sand, maybe some wildlife, maybe some fruit. It's like this very tiny little space. These microbes, this virus is just living in a very tiny, simple
It's
world.
tiny, but it's massive. Because if our universe is also their universe, then their universe compared to their size is ridiculously big.
Wait, that's so true. That's insane.
Even
Yeah.
bigger than ours from our perspective. And, like, we're
Right. Well, because they're small. Yeah, that makes
we're
perfect
normally
sense.
sized, like microbiomes.
Well, you
like,
can't say we're normally sized because we don't know what size.
well, we're
To us, we're normal size.
Yes.
yeah, exactly.
To us, we're normal
Okay, that's
size.
fair. Yeah.
But most life out there could be 6 times bigger or
To a
smaller.
starfish,
just weird.
starfish is normal sized, and we're big.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
exactly.
It's just
Crazy.
crazy. Yeah.
It
So
just keeps going up.
so that's like
Wait, can I just say something on that quick? Because this is an Anything Goes.
it is.
What's the subtitle
Did we
to this
even
Anything
mention
Goes?
that?
No, we didn't. It's
Yeah,
fine.
it's-
I mean,
in
it's
the
gonna be in
title.
the
It's in
title,
the
but
title.
like,
It'll be in the
okay,
title.
we're doing an anything goes because we just came back.
Yeah, we had an episode planned for today.
Yeah, can you
got
speak
here,
on that? Go ahead. Sorry.
Looked over the PowerPoint that we had prepared to, we read, we make PowerPoints to jot down ideas essentially that we want to bring up on the podcast. It's not that we're reading off of a PowerPoint, it's that we're forgetful people. You can think something one week and then forget to say it on the podcast the next week.
That's so true.
So we make PowerPoints. We looked over the PowerPoint today and decided, wow, it's been a month since we made this PowerPoint. Maybe we should just do an anything goes. Get back into the flow of things. This is the first time back in the studio since January 3rd?
Something like that. Probably
Which
before
I don't
that.
think we even recorded on the 3rd. I think it was just a meeting.
Because I hadn't seen you since
The 3rd.
New Year's.
The 3rd.
I saw you the 3rd in
Yes.
person?
Yes.
Okay.
We had a meeting. It's a Tuesday. We meet on Tuesdays.
Fair. Okay.
We had
so
a meeting.
It's been a month and a half
think.
since we've
But yeah, it's
Yes.
been a
recorded a thing.
Yeah.
Yes, I haven't seen you guys. I mean, well, we've hung out before on Tuesday,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I mean, I
2 days
genuinely
ago.
haven't
And we-
seen
and we
both
did
of you in a
some-
room in like a month and a half. I've been.
We at least did Discord meetings, which I was very
Yeah.
proud of us for.
Yes. Yeah.
Because
we did talk.
We at least communicated, and honestly, I think since January 1st, isn't that when we made a lot of our huge changes to our schedule?
Yeah.
is we
Yeah,
looked
we
at
kind of overhauled it at the beginning of January.
we looked at our calendar and we were like, okay,
Yeah.
this is how we should plan content. So expect to see a lot more guests on the show. That's something we can
Yeah.
say.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Is we just had our episode out with Andre, so by the time you hear this, it'll probably be a month or a month and a half till that came out. That was episode 11.
And I
Mental
have
health
another
with Andre.
proposal that I want to bring up with you guys after
Yeah,
this. I
sure.
won't spoil it. We have a good set schedule now that
Yeah.
works with the content and is best for the people that listen to this, which, by the way, thank you so much for
Yes.
joining us.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
a couple people that already, they listen to this every single time we release something.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
And that to me, I shouldn't even be saying this late. I almost want you to cut it and put it in the beginning, because I just want to take the time to appreciate people who have actually spent time to listen to this.
It means a lot.
You are
Yeah.
the first of hopefully many, and we can't thank you enough, because it always starts with a select few of people who actually genuinely enjoy this content.
Dude, I'll tell you what, every time I check our stats on Anchor, I'm like, well, we have more plays than we ever did. Well, we have more listeners than we ever did. Because I probably check it once a week, and every week we are just going up very slowly. But that's amazing, because we're just slowly going up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's all we
that's
can ask
I feel like that's the right way. We're not trying to cheat the system. We're working with it.
Yep.
We're just three guys that literally get together
In a room.
and we
Three guys
discuss
in a room.
things. Three guys in a room.
It's also just
It's
good
a
name for the
late-
it's a
no,
good name
that's
for the
a little-
podcast. Honestly,
We should have just
Three
named
guys
it
in a
Three
room.
Guys in a Room. And if someone takes that name,
Uh,
I kind of like Time for Anything though,
But it's-
because
Does
I
that
think
come
it's
from that
something we
blooper?
I
can
don't know.
I think it
develop.
does. We're
Maybe.
three guys in a
Three guys
room.
in a
Chairs
room.
are gonna move.
Yeah.
I think
Yes,
that's- yeah,
actually,
that's
that
what it's
is a blooper from
So if
what
you
episode
use
is
that name,
Anything.
all I ask for is a small royalty check. That's it.
They will not give it to you.
0.01% of
Yeah.
all your profits.
There's no way.
Yeah.
But back
Damn.
to what I was saying, guys.
Well, you said Time for Anything. Sorry. And then
No,
I
I've been
and then
talking to the audience at this
Yeah.
point, and now we're going on a tangent
You're-
off
and
the
then I
audience.
Time for
and
Anything.
I'm trying to
and anything
have
goes.
an intimate moment
I'm sorry.
with
the
our
audience.
listeners.
We're just so excited. Go ahead.
We are. We are enjoying ourselves. I hope you can tell. I'm completely derailed. Thank you.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you. No.
Derek,
That's
Thank
how.
them. No,
that's
no,
how
no.
anything goes.
No, it's fine.
my enthusiasm is off
It's fine. I'm off the charts too.
Because it's, like you said, it's been a month and a half since we've been able to sit down and record something. With the three of
we're
us.
just excited.
Because we just recorded with Austria, but like James wasn't there, and it was like
So,
that was like
long
we didn't
story-
have the trio.
Short. Love you. Thank you.
Yes.
We love you.
Yes.
So, thanks for joining us. Anyway, so Ronnie and I watched this movie called My Octopus Teacher.
Oh no.
Alright.
Oh wait, no, never mind. I thought you were talking about the anime, like Assassin Classroom or something. Or
Assassination Classroom.
Yeah.
I watched that.
The Octopus Teacher. I never watched it, but it looked like the teacher was. Anyway.
He's an alien,
Oh, okay.
but he takes the shape of an octopus.
Nice. Like an
good, actually great anime.
Oh, yeah?
I watched
Okay.
it one time. We'll never
Yeah.
watch it again. But
Have you played
Good job.
Octodad?
no,
That game is actually amazing. Anyway.
octopi are amazing.
Yes. Yeah.
Octopi are
Yes.
freaking awesome. So this guy basically, like, is in videography, like, takes pictures in the wild in his late 20s and, like, has these crazy adventures, but he's kind of in a rut, whatever. He loves snorkeling. Yes, because he has to go up for breaths. I was thinking, is it scuba diving? This dude dives for, like, a couple minutes at a time. Yes.
No, please continue.
Okay.
I don't want to cut you off. I don't want to cut you off.
So
I take it back.
I'm no spoilers other than like the basic synopsis.
Okay.
So he's like diving whatever, and he like befriends an octopus,
Yeah.
and it teaches him a lot of things about
What-
life and kind of pulls him out of the rut. And
What
like
is it? Wait, he meets an octopus that teaches him things.
yeah, like
Because I'm not going to denounce that. I'm just interested into how that occurred.
well, he gains a newfound respect for life
Huh.
You know what? Maybe that doesn't happen. Maybe this is just my take on it.
Okay.
But basically, he follows this octopus up until its death, and they don't live that long anyway. Like they live like a year or two.
Okay.
And he, like, the octopus literally recognizes him. Like, for the first few times, he's kind of like, I'm already
He's just a
spoiling it.
human.
I promise no spoilers, but you know what?
He's just a human to them.
Well, no, he's an alien at first, but then he keeps coming back and shows that he's non-threatening, and eventually the octopus gets comfortable enough to where this guy's, like, next to it all the time, just watching it, and it's chilling. Like, it doesn't...
Because it just knows.
It doesn't react or anything,
I'm sure he's touched it and played with it.
Yeah, it actually, there's a moment where it reaches out for him. You know what? I'm not going to spoil it. Go watch it.
Okay,
watch it.
If you give me the link for that, I can put
It's
it...
on Netflix.
Okay, but give me the... Okay, I'll get the link.
Link the IMDb page.
Yeah.
I'll link that in the resources page on the episode page for this episode on timeforanything.com, and you can watch it.
Yeah.
Cool.
If you have Netflix.
If you have Netflix.
Or actually, don't illegally stream things. It's a felony now.
Yeah, don't do that. No, don't do it, because
So I watched this movie.
you could go to jail for just, like, watching a movie that you didn't want to pay $4.
Piracy is not a victimless crime.
Uh-huh. Continue.
I mean, that was just money pumped behind that whole thing.
Remember the mermaid thing we watched? And they said that there were people... Okay, this was the claim in the mermaid thing, whatever that even was.
Was that
we
the
watched.
mermaid documentary that they had
on TV?
It was like Animal Planet or Discovery, and it was
like a few
fucking
years ago.
fake.
Yeah, it was so fake.
You're kidding.
It was so bad.
We watched that, and they said that there were supposedly... I don't even remember what their evidence was, okay? But they supposedly had evidence that there were humanoid creatures with exceptionally more webbed hands. So, okay, you have a little bit of webbing near your first knuckle. You just do. Everyone has a very minimal amount of webbing, and if you don't, then you're just different. That's just fine. It's just not how you are physiologically.
Oh my god, I didn't even notice that.
But apparently these...
Were you a lifeguard? That was like the first thing
Yeah.
I learned in like swim team. They were like, use your webbing.
Use your webbing. Like, you don't realize how much webbing you have. But apparently, supposedly, based on this documentary, okay, so who knows how credible it is, they had webbing probably up to their second knuckles. So, like, if you bend your fingers, like the knuckles after the ones on the base of your hand, the ones kind of in the middle of your fingers, like, they had webbing to there. So they could swim efficiently and supposedly hold their breath for 30 minutes.
Are you talking about like island people?
Okay, so I'm just saying this is what the documentary said. So who knows, right? It's probably
it's
probably fake, but
I wouldn't.
it's
I wouldn't
not that
argue,
ridiculous to think about.
I wouldn't argue against the idea that there potentially could have been beach living or island living peoples that had webbing that could hold their breath for a longer time.
Yes.
But to classify them as mermaids is ridiculous. Yeah.
Right. They say that that's what the mermaid evolved into. From. So yeah. That's a step further.
So
that's a step
there
too far
are
for me.
human. The thing is, by the time those people would have a civilization, or even I don't even want to say civilization.
Civilization.
Right? Yeah. More like a communal sense of a tribe, and not be a nomadic people.
Yeah.
Then mermaids wouldn't have existed at that point, or if they did exist at that point, then we would know about them.
I can't get behind mermaids. I can't get behind the idea of it.
There are nomadic tribes that I believe I'm actually Google searching it now just to make sure. I saw it on a Joe Rogan podcast clip thing where basically they're the world's best scuba divers / free divers.
I feel like I saw what
They
you're
dive
talking about.
for 30 minutes at a time.
Okay.
And put rocks on their feet and hunt with sharpened sticks.
So it's possible.
It is possible, but that takes hundreds of years of development and
Probably thousands of years of evolution for their
Or
genome.
Or evolution doesn't happen over a long time like that, and it instead happens
quicker than we think.
very quick. Yeah, that's that's up for debate. The
Well, but
currently the accepted proposal is evolution takes a long time.
Because I can understand millions of years for something to turn into something else.
Yes.
Okay, like if you give me, it's been 300 million years since we saw the dawn of this creature, and then after 300 million years we realized that it turned into this, then I could get behind that.
Okay, so I found an article on CNN Health.
I feel like evolution just takes so much time.
But it also might not.
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it depends.
Because maybe
I think generally, yes.
Generally, yes. It takes
a lot of time. But I think that there are some things that could be instant. Just an instant mutation of a fetus.
I totally lied about the whole 30-minute thing. That's pretty insane.
What's about what?
The 30-minute underwater.
Yeah.
Were you wrong about it?
There's someone that has held their breath in the Baju tribe.
For how long? Just one person? For 30 minutes? Because then
13.
That just proves it's
They
physiologically
can dive up to
possible.
depths. They can dive to depths up. Wow, I'm struggling. They can dive 230 feet up to. That's insane. You ever try and touch the 14-foot part of the pool when you were a kid? We had a diving well.
Oh, man.
And the deepest part was 14 feet.
I'm not diving down 230 feet.
I could do it when I was like swimming and like in shape.
Like on a good
like
day.
you try, yeah. I could pencil dive. It was a diving well, so like you could definitely pencil dive and like touch the bottom and push yourself back up.
Yeah, but they're not jumping off not trampolines.
They're just swimming.
13 minutes is a long time underwater.
Yeah,
that's insane.
That's death for pretty much anyone else.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like if you just like took a breath and you're 230 feet underneath,
So
like you're dead.
I figured out how to hold your breath for longer, and I can prove that it works.
Go ahead.
I believe it was David Blaine. I can't remember. But I was watching a podcast with him and Joe Rogan, and he mentioned a stunt that he did where he tied himself to balloons and went up 20,000 feet. Okay, so this guy he gets balloons strapped to him, goes up 20,000 feet. I can't remember the math, but I think at 10,000 or 15,000 feet, trained professionals in the Air Force and skydiving need respirators. Because you can't breathe, the air is too thin.
Yeah.
But his method is, it's not about pulling in oxygen, it's about getting rid of CO2. Because the CO2 buildup is why your lungs start to hurt. And it's also why you can't breathe. So you got to do really sharp exhales of as much breath as you can and then suck in oxygen at hyper efficiency.
Have you heard of Wim Hof?
I have not.
Interesting.
Elaborate?
How to explain Wim Hof?
Don't let me forget my thought though. But
I feel like I know.
I mean, you can continue.
Why do I feel like we've had this conversation before?
Have you had it with Jake?
Potentially.
Jake is the one that introduced me to Wim Hof.
Can I finish this? And
yes, go
on Wim Hof.
Yeah, go for it.
So, I had to do a game. I was playing a board game with my brother and Lauren. So Derek, Lauren, and Scott, and Melissa, and so there's the 5 of us. And the challenge was see who goes first by holding their breath the longest. So I just exhaled as much CO2 as I possibly could. Took a large inhale, did that repeatedly, and just got all of it out, held my breath, and then I was probably just sitting there for another minute after everyone lost, still holding my breath.
So you did Wim Hofing? No.
Is that the
Wim Hof Method without even knowing it?
Okay, that's
Wim Hof is a man.
Okay.
And he came up with this breathing technique.
Oh.
This is on discovermagazine.com. And this is their description of Wim Hof breathing technique.
How do you spell Wim Hof?
W-I-M?
Yeah.
H-O-F.
Kind of
2 words.
Cool.
Wim
Oh,
Hof.
really? It's
yes.
Wim Hof. Okay.
Yep, it's his name. Wim Hof. So the method is, according to Discover magazine, Wim Hof has a book. You can read his book.
What was his birth to death date?
He's still alive.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. The Wim Hof Method, his book, it was published in September of 2020.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, so that's really recent.
Yeah, this guy, some of you, the audience, may have actually heard about him. He's getting pretty big. So the method is, again, according to Discover magazine, take 30 quick, deep breaths, inhaling through your nose and exhaling through your mouth. Then take a deep breath and exhale. Hold until you need to breathe in. Inhale again as deep as you can. Hold it for 10 seconds and repeat that process as many times as you want.
Holy cow.
This man has climbed mountains in like shorts and a t-shirt, like cold mountains, no problem. He and a couple of his quote unquote apostles
That's interesting.
injected themselves with E. coli, and most of them, not all of them, but most of them, including Wim Hof himself, completely unaffected. This is supposedly, and I don't want anybody to go out and do this without reading up on it by yourself, because, you know,
please.
breathing can be dangerous if you breathe incorrectly. There was that whole like pass out challenge a few years ago where people would take a bunch of deep breaths and then not breathe and they would pass out. So don't do that. You know, I don't want to be blamed.
That.
Do you not remember
I do not remember this existing.
At David's house when Jimmy did it?
No.
Maybe you weren't there. That must have been my sophomore
What
year.
happened?
Yeah. So
Wait, at David's
house.
David's house with Jimmy.
Jimmy, yeah. I must have been there with Fabrizio and Trevor or something. And Jimmy's up in his parents' room. And David's like, do the pass out challenge. Do it, pussy. You know, bullying his brother into doing it.
Bullying, of course, because
it's
David
his brother.
David when he was 17.
And it's his brother, yeah.
Yeah.
So and Jimmy honestly didn't need much much motivation to do this. He was like, yeah, I'll do it.
Jimmy and David were crazy kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he does this pass out challenge where he's just like pretty much hyperventilating. Just holds his breath and topples over. So it's pretty funny, not gonna lie.
It's kind of scary. Does that do permanent brain damage?
I'm sure.
It could.
It
But
probably does.
The
I
Wim
passed
Hof
out
method.
once, and that shit was crazy.
Because when you pass out, your brain's going into emergency shutdown mode.
Pretty
trying to
much.
repair.
I always explain it the same way. It's kind of like being in a cockpit and you have all the controls in front of you, and you're like, "Come on, like, what are you doing?
Do
Like,
something.
You
You
move the
know,
joysticks and
you're
press
fully
buttons.
conscious of the fact I'm passed out right now. Like, I knew the entire time. I was like, "Holy fuck!" Like, I just passed out.
You feel like you're in a Gundam, like trying to get the controls moving.
Pretty much, and I'm like, "What the heck?" And then I can hear my friends, and I'm like, kind of coming back, and I'm like booting back up, for lack of a better term. And they try and pick me up. I fall again. And they get me to a bed, and I can kind of like catch my breath, and I'm sweaty, and
Dang.
I'm just like, what the heck just happened? And yeah, it was pretty terrible of an experience. So don't do the pass out challenge.
Yeah,
That's
Jimmy probably passed out from oxygen
Yes,
deprivation.
that's exactly what it was.
Which
So-
is
not good for your brain. You're
Which
just
is-
killing. You're literally
Yeah.
killing brain cells.
yeah, that's why I'm thinking it does permanent brain damage.
So the Wim Hof method is potentially dangerous. This is just a basic Google search
If
of
you're
Wim
not-
Hof breathing.
If you're not
If you
trained
don't know how
properly.
to do it.
Yeah.
There are beginner guides. You shouldn't just start off with the full-blown method.
Because I can imagine.
Okay,
if
so
you-
we pitched the full blown method. Don't do
Don't
that.
do that.
Well, it's
Don't-
essentially
don't do
like
that.
it's essentially like someone being like, "Here's how you train professionally, but don't do that first.
Yeah,
Start from
yeah.
the basics."
Right.
Yeah.
Trying
This
to
is from
squat 700 pounds. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
this
You
is
never worked
from
out in your life, squat 700.
ScienceDaily.com. The question is the Wim Hof method bad for your brain? Their answer is, the practice of the Wim Hof method may lead to tonic changes in autonomous brain mechanisms, a speculation that has implications for managing medical conditions ranging from the diseases of the immune system to more intriguingly psychiatric conditions such as mood and anxiety disorders.
So that actually sounds incredibly beneficial.
Yes. yes, it might be super beneficial, but at the same time, if you don't do it right, it could hurt you.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
You get one body, one brain.
But
Some people, he apparently has apostles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people said, you know what? You get one life.
Yeah.
My millennial is showing YOLO.
But what if the like? Okay, so has the Wim Hof
But what
method,
if it works?
Has the Wim Hof method? What is his use of it?
He's climbed mountains.
Okay, that's right. You mentioned that.
Being
He-
E. coli.
Yeah.
He's known as the Iceman
Okay, you're right.
because he can stand outside in freezing temperatures and not get cold.
He probably gets cold, but he doesn't
No,
die.
He doesn't feel the cold.
You know what's absolutely mind blowing?
What?
To me personally, because again, we're opinions.
We are just talking heads. I was thinking that today.
Yeah.
I
But
think we're in a simulation. I'm almost entirely convinced. Okay, so let me say two things. So we're probably in a simulation, my opinion.
Okay.
It would make sense why you could just learn how to not feel cold. You just shut off that mechanism. Okay.
But it's not learning to not feel cold. It's breathing in a certain way that enhances your body and changes your brain.
I think
But
that makes complete
think
sense from a
that's-
scientific perspective.
Yes.
Because you're literally supplying your... What do you need to live?
O2 and
Oxygen.
water.
Yeah, oxygen and water, and then energy.
Sustenance,
Breathing.
food.
Sustenance.
You need a suitable atmosphere to provide you with the oxygen required to fuel your body and like to literally kind of keep it running.
It's the same reason that some Olympic athletes train on the top of mountains because there is less oxygen. So then when they come down to normal elevation, they are actually performing at an enhanced...
So oxygen is
Efficiency.
more
Yes.
beneficial to the body than water itself.
Potentially.
Both are equally...
Potentially.
I think water
necessary?
has a lot of healing properties that people
Yes.
kind of take for granted.
Water?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I will wholeheartedly agree.
So like hand in hand, you drink water and maybe you breathe differently, you could potentially become
Superhuman.
either superhuman or potentially like what?
I'm sorry.
Because I said superhuman.
No, it just has really been making me think the whole time, what if one thing we should study in certain animals is breathing patterns? Which I'm sure someone does. But I'm wondering if, okay, let's say you have penguins in the Antarctic and you're like, yeah, they have a lot of hair, but how do they survive?
Do penguins have hair or is it fur?
Fur. I don't know.
Cool. I don't know.
And I'm thinking, what if the way the penguins are breathing, right? Because now we know that supposedly, based on this one method, and also potentially what David Blaine says, because he does the same techniques.
Well, I remember...
If David Blaine is the guy I'm thinking of, what if the way you breathe can actually affect the way you can handle certain
Are we going to cut
environments?
this out or are we just going to roll with it?
I'm rolling with it right now.
Okay, let's just roll with it.
Yeah.
So, I remember in 6th grade, I don't know why I remember this, but my teacher told me once, and this is no basis for actual information, but it makes sense. Okay, polar bear's skin is like
Black.
dark black.
Yeah.
Their fur is white.
Correct.
So the skin absorbs the
Sunlight.
sun's rays, heats the body, and then the fur acts as a reflectant. So when the sun's rays or when heat is trying to be emitted, it insulates.
Right, because it
Or
doesn't
like-
want to touch the white surface, which
Or
is going to dissipate
maybe the
heat
sun's
when
rays like refract and like don't bounce back. So like it's more insulation, more heat.
Polar bears stay really warm because of their skin and fur composition.
Right.
Coloring?
Coloring, yes.
Because I think the skin is probably...
Yeah, I guess
Made of
composition is
the
the
same,
wrong
yeah,
term.
but yeah.
Well, I guess it's composed of different chemicals if it's black. But it has more
I don't
melanin in
I
it.
think that might be true. I don't
My
know.
girlfriend
I don't
noted
know if
pigs.
it's
Well, your skin
composition.
color
Apparently
is
the skin's
affected by
different.
whatever chemicals are in
I mean, skin's different between animals for sure.
Yes,
I don't know
yeah.
between species.
well,
if
more
there's a
melanin
definitive
makes things
difference.
darker.
Yeah,
Supposedly.
but I don't know. Is that This is just semantics.
It's at least
but-
how it works in humans. Shout out to that blooper.
Yeah.
Semantics. But remember how we wanted to name the podcast Anything Goes?
But there was that woman that
There
had
was that. Hey,
Anything
no,
Goes.
there was some woman who had something very similar. So we named it Time for Anything.
Are we outing ourselves?
What?
No.
So we named it Time for Anything.
We wanted your.
And right now,
your title.
Give it to
we are doing
Give us your title.
what we named the subcategory in honor of the original name is an Anything Goes. Can you
Right.
tell me anything about sociocultural economics in the United States in the 1970s?
The 1970s, like post-Vietnam, I want to say it was like an economic boom necessarily, but it was stable, I want to say. The 70s?
It was a great shift, actually.
Yeah. Like, there were just a lot of different things. Like, when I think of the 70s, I think of disco and cocaine.
Do you know why this is
I feel like that's the 80s. Actually, no, I guess it is the 70s.
We're sitting in Mr.
Oh.
class, and he goes, "What interests you?" So we had to write something down. And I said, sociocultural economics in the United States in the 1970s. This is what I wrote down. I don't even know what was happening in the sociocultural economics in the United States in the 1970s. I have no idea. So I just wrote this down. So as we're sitting here, I just thought of this and I said this to you. And now I want to get some fucking info on it.
Well, you know, Nixon was in office.
Okay.
Carter was in office.
That's interesting.
And Reagan was in office.
Wait,
So
really?
it
70s,
was
Nixon, Carter, and Reagan within that whole
socioeconomic.
sociocultural economics.
Well, that's pretty much.
So
Long
society,
hair.
culture.
So it's
like,
everything.
Long
You're just
hair
asking
and outrageous
for the
clothing
full
became
plate.
the norm.
You're saying
What was
the
going on in the
social
70s?
aspect of society,
The culture.
the economics, and the
and the culture and the economics. Society,
That's-
the culture,
that's,
the
you're
economics.
just asking for what
You
was
had-
society like.
You had
Exactly.
Ups
you
and
had
downs.
It's a
very
hilariously
you had
long-
very religious conservatives,
Interesting.
anti-feminists, and tons of racism.
Wow.
Well,
that
there you
sucks.
go. Yeah, it probably
But
mostly.
you didn't have a lot of
sucked.
taxes because you had a lot of economic conservatives.
Interesting.
I feel like the whole disco and cocaine thing is kind of more movie jargon.
No,
than
I mean
anything.
that's it was pocketed. Like Hollywood, definitely. But
Well, Hollywood
you know,
only
like,
spends. Well, no, they spend the lows too recently, but
back then.
back then
Yeah.
it was more like
It was
feel good
But-
kind of shit. Happy
but
days.
all of the people that were involved in Hollywood were doing tons of cocaine and disco.
That makes sense.
No,
Pause.
weed they thought was worse than cocaine.
Oh, interesting.
You're looking for the '60s.
Yeah. Was
Fuck.
what? I want to double check. Yeah. So Nixon.
Wait.
I'm sorry. You had Richard Nixon from
Yeah.
73 to 74.
Yeah.
Once he resigned, you had Gerald Ford from 74 to 77. Then you had Jimmy Carter from 77 to 81. Ronald Reagan wasn't until 81, but he was president until 89.
Interesting.
Reagan dominated the 80s. I mean, Reagan was president for essentially all of the 80s.
Really?
81 to 89.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty much the 80s.
You did have Lyndon B. Johnson, at the beginning of the 70s, but, I mean,
But, like,
come on.
well,
Lyndon B. Johnson.
Wait, so who were the
was-
presidents in the 70s?
Nixon was 73 to 74.
Right.
Gerald Ford, his vice president after Nixon resigned, was from 74 to 77. Finished out Nixon's term for him. And then Carter from 77 to 81.
Weird.
So the 70s was the Watergate scandal.
Right.
It was the big
That's
thing in
right.
the 70s.
Yeah, that he got impeached. Or no, he almost got impeached. for
He
that,
didn't. They I think did impeach him, but he resigned. So
Right. It was
they just kind of called off, and then Ford pardoned him. So.
And then he never ran a second term, right?
Oh God, no.
Because, like,
Well, I think that might have. I think Watergate happened. Let me look. Nix Cohn. What's happening? Did he leave? Yeah, Nixon served a term before he committed the Watergate scandal. Maybe I'm wrong. He was elected in 1969. Wait a minute. Why does this say he was? Why does Richard Nixon's Wikipedia page say that he was elected in 1953? That can't be right. That actually just can't be right. Oh no, served from 1969 to 1974. So yeah, okay. The Watergate scandal was in Nixon's second term, right? Do you know? Yeah, it was his second term. Yeah. Because that man would have run for a third term. Richard Nixon would have been the modern day Trump.
I believe Roger Stone ran both campaigns. I'm not. Oh no, it was Reagan.
Oh, Reagan's campaign?
Reagan said, "Make America Great Again."
Yes, yeah, that is true. Trump
Originally.
claimed to be the second Reagan in his 2020 campaign. Yeah. Did you watch the trial?
I haven't.
I watched yesterday's trial. I didn't finish. Yesterday was the prosecution's opening, and then today they finished their opener. Tomorrow is the defendant. I'm gonna try to watch the defendant. I think.
We talking about teabag?
Trump?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's being impeached for a second time. You know that?
That's what I call it. Yeah. He's being impeached for
a second time.
Second time.
Yeah. Post-presidency.
I haven't heard that one.
Post-presidency impeachment.
Teabag?
I know, that's got to be a first, right?
Actually, yeah. It's kind of weird. It's completely legal. Like, it follows everything. It's interesting because normally during an impeachment, the Chief Justice resides over it. But because Trump is no longer the president, the Chief Justice doesn't have to. And the Chief Justice said, no thanks, I'm not going to do it. So it goes to the leader of the Senate. Super old dude. No clue what's happening. You should have seen him yesterday. He had no clue what was going on. It's a ceremonial role that they give the oldest member, or the longest serving member of Senate.
Why would you do that?
It's supposed to be ceremonial. Generally it is. But in this case, he now presides over the impeachment hearing. Doesn't really matter because it doesn't really matter. It's still ceremonial. Yes, he is residing over it. So he has the gavel, but there's just somebody telling him what's going on, what's happening, like, what to say.
He's so old that he's barely there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to discredit this guy. It's
Maybe I'm wrong.
It's Leahy.
Okay.
He's the Vermont Senator Leahy is who it is right now. I think. Like I'm like 80% sure. Gotta be in the 80s.
Yeah, if he's like 87, I'd be like, no thanks.
Vermont Senator.
Can I just say?
Patrick Leahy is 80 years old.
Okay, that's like borderline.
He's
like if you're 80, get out.
He's served in office as a senator for Vermont since 1975.
It's too long.
He was first elected to Senate in 1974.
It's too long.
He was elected.
He was 35, 34.
Yeah, when he was elected?
36.
Yeah. Something like that. He was born in 1940. So yeah, 35. Now he's 80. He is a career politician. But, I mean, that's what happens when you don't have term limits, right? You have career politicians. That's just how it goes.
Yeah, pretty much. There are a lot of places that don't really care.
Basically, no one cares.
Yeah.
That we have career politicians.
Yeah.
He was in the movie The Dark Knight Rises.
what?
He was in My Wife is a Vampire, which I guess never got released. And he was also in Circle of Poison from 2015.
What? Wait, this guy's an actor?
Yeah, he's got a lot of free
He
time.
probably, yeah, that. And also probably, I don't know if he was actually an actor in The Dark Knight Rises. It doesn't specifically say. It just on his Wikipedia page says that one of his movies is The Dark Knight Rises.
It's really funny. Maybe
I
he just
imagine-
played a guy for a second.
Yeah, I imagine they had him as like a senator or something, you know. God, if I could remember the Dark Knight Rises movie. Was that the first one?
Yeah, that
No,
was the
that's the
first one with
second
Christian
one.
Bale.
The Dark Knight Rises was the second one. The Dark Knight was the first one.
No, Dark Knight was the second one.
No, the Dark Knight
Yes.
was the first one.
No, because it was it was Batman Begins.
Okay, yeah. Okay,
Dark
yeah.
Knight.
And then the Dark Knight from
Dark Knight
2008.
Rises.
And then the Dark Knight Rises. And then there was another one after that.
No,
wasn't
there
there?
was a trilogy. There's only 3.
Yeah, I also thought that, but then they had like a fourth.
They had more movies.
But
So,
that's okay.
that's okay. We're back.
Yeah, we're back.
We are
We're
back.
We're back.
I don't think that there was
Feels
any
good.
hiccup in releases at all, so it probably doesn't seem like we were away.
Right. Right.
But we're back.
Yeah. People are like, what do you mean? You've just been releasing content. We're like, yeah, because we had someone
You
back.
mentioned before in other ones, we are time travelers, so
Yeah.
Yeah, by the way,
we
We are
have
always-
ages
In the future.
content.
oh, fuck
You know.
me.
That's okay.
We are always traveling through time, so therefore we always have content.
There you go.
True.
Timeforanything.com.
Timeforanything.com. Seriously, people don't understand how actually excited I am about the website. Let me rant for a second.
I'll give you 20 seconds.
Sure. Okay. The episodes page has currently released content and bloopers and resources, but you got to go into the episode to find those little goodies. And we also have an other projects page with some other stuff that maybe either we're working on or friends are working on. So timeforanything.com. It's got some goodies.
If we need to fill time, I could just start reading off some of my creative writing pieces to the audience.
Read me 2 sentences that
If you're not
speak to you.
if you're not reading the beaver poem, I'll be very sad.
I'd have to find that. I can read off the woodchuck poem to end it.
Go ahead.
Give me a hot
Let's end it
second
right.
here.
Can I just say you read
I don't
this?
know that this is suitable for all audiences.
No, nor is our podcast. You should not have your kids
Yes.
in the car if you're listening to
Yeah,
this.
that's pretty fair.
That's
God,
just a
if I
fair
can-
warning. So turn this off right now if you don't want your kids
You're
to
warning
hear
them
something.
literally the last 2 minutes of the
That's
podcast.
what I'm saying. But this,
Now-
let me get this right. You read this in front of a class of people
yeah.
and your professor.
Oh yeah, with an open door, with people walking by the classroom.
So you read this in front of 30 people.
30 people and some listeners, some ongoers that just happen to catch a whiff of this.
I'd love to hear it.
The woodchuck, known for not actually being able to chuck wood, has begun chucking the fucking wood. He chucks and fucks all while he chucks the chucking wood. Chuck away, young fuck chuck. When the chucking becomes the fucking will be chucked. The chucking chuck wood fucks the chuck. There's no stopping the fuck wood from chucking his suck. Somebody please fuck chuck the suck wood. Suck fuck wood chuck chuck. Silly little suck fuck chucking the wood. Now there is no wood to have been suck fucked. Poor woodchuck, where will he now get his chuck muck? The wood is devoured in his fuck chuck for his suck buck. 1 penny, said the wood suck, I'll suck your chuck nut.